Good morning, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today we're going to look at the not that short but sweet studio discography of Canadian stompers Bachman Turner Overdrive, otherwise known as BTO. I've long been a fan of these guys, one of the unsung heavy bands of the 70s. These guys could pack a wallop with their somewhat simplistic but powerful and potent Canadian molten heavy rock. Okay, some great albums, some not so great, but the ones that are spectacular are really damn good. So here's how it works. As always, I'm going to give you my rankings from my least favorite all the way to my favorite. Okay, you are absolutely free and welcome to do the same. Remember, we all hear these albums differently. Some of these albums are going to mean more to some of us than others. There's no right or wrong answer here. We're all going to pick them in different orders. We all have different likes and dislikes, and that's the way it should be. So let's respect everyone's opinion. Put your comments below. Let us know which albums you love and why, and I'm going to go do the same thing here. So, all right, starting in at number, I don't know what number, I'm going to add these up, but at the bottom of the pile for me, okay, which is going to be an album that they released in 1979. It's the second of two in a row without founding member Randy Bachman. I'm talking about Rock and Roll Nights. Not a terrible album, okay, but not a very great one. Here they had a lot of outside writers helping them out, including Bryan Adams and a bunch of other folks. All right. Kind of this album is missing like the what we would call the BTO stomp. You know, I mean, yeah, Randy Bachman's presence is missed, but, you know, you still got Fred Turner, or CF Turner, however he likes to say his name, who switched over from bass to rhythm guitar on this album, okay, singing a bunch of the tunes, got that great gruff voice, always dug him. Here for his second album in a row, we've got Jim Clench on bass and lead vocals. Jim, of course, coming over from fellow Canadian rockers April Wine. Blair Thornton on lead guitar. Blair had been with the band for a good chunk of their career, and Robbie Bachman, of course, on drums and percussion. Yeah, a couple good tunes. You know, Heartache's pretty good. Rock and Roll Hell is a pretty decent tune, later to be remade by Kiss on the Creatures of the Night album. Okay, that actually was written by someone other than the band. What else is good on here? Yeah, End of the Line is okay. I don't know. Overall, just kind of a middling, somewhat decent album, but nothing spectacular by any means. All right, next up, I'm going to go with Freeways from 77. So this actually was the last album with Randy before he split the band, okay, for a number of years. You can kind of tell the direction's a little bit changing here. Now, while there are some fine songs on here, Life Still Goes On, I'm Lonely is actually a pretty strong tune. My Wheels Won't Turn, Easy Grove is kind of, got kind of like a funky groove to it. Shotgun Rider is one of the harder tunes on the album. It's well produced, nice songs, but just missing that kind of like that heft that we always kind of loved from BTO. And like I said, Randy would leave the band shortly thereafter this. A little more successful, I think, is Street Action, which came out in 78. So this is the first album without Randy on vocals and lead guitar. So this is basically the lineup that I just mentioned before, okay, on the Rock and Roll Nights album, the first album with Jim Clench on bass and vocals. Blair Thornton all by himself in the lead guitar slot. I actually think this is a pretty strong album. This album basically gives you the heavy, for the most part, BTO that we really crave. Down the Road, kick-ass song. All right. Street Action, the title track, is really good. For Love is killer. All right. I'm in Love, another good tune. Takes a lot of people. Some good riffs on here. It's pretty kind of stomping, what you like. Vocals are solid. Clench is a fine singer. And I've always loved Fred Turner's vocals. I just love that kind of. It almost reminds me kind of like the ZZ Top thing. You had the two twin vocal attack there. You got the same thing here in this band. And I always thought Mr. Thornton's vocals, like I said, you got that kind of gruff, tough guy, gravelly voice, which I think worked really well with some of the band's heavier stuff. But a very solid album, I think. I know a lot of people like, no Randy on it, no good. But you know what? I think it's a pretty strong album. All right, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. So this next album is not a BTO album per se, okay? But BTO as a band had ceased to exist for a million years, and Fred Turner and Randy Bachman decided they wanted to put the band back together, but because of legalities with former members of the band, they couldn't use Bachman Turner Overdrive. So they went out and did an album and tour just under Bachman Turner, and this is the album. And for all intents and purposes, this just sounds like a very strong modern-day Bachman Turner Overdrive album, or BTO album. A lot of really cool songs on here. Killer guitar work. The vocals are outstanding. The songs are memorable. Yeah, there's a lot of tunes. There's like a dozen songs. Probably could have trimmed a couple here, but I think, Rolling Along, that's what it is killer. Slave to the Rhythm is a really fun song. I've Seen the Light. Rock and Roll is the Only Way Out. What else? Traffic Jam is cool. Moonlight Rider. A very solid album, man. I listened to this a ton when it came out, roughly a decade ago. So I think for those of you who are fans of the band but maybe missed this, again, not a 100% BTO album, but it was supposed to be, and quite frankly, it ranks up there with some of their stuff. Okay, and it's better than some of the albums that I think I just mentioned. So I dig it. All right, next up, we're going to go to the reunion album of sorts. So Randy comes back into the band in 1984. All right, a couple other lineup changes. Jim Clench is gone by that time, and a couple other members. Mr. Thornton is gone. They've got the self-titled Bachman Turner Overdrive, or BTO, however you want to call it. Okay, so we got Randy on guitars and vocals, Tim Bachman on rhythm guitars. Okay, Gary Peterson on drums, Fred Turner on bass and vocals, Will McCalder on piano, and Dennis McCann on backing vocals. This is actually a heavy album. One of their heaviest for my money. Just Look at Me Now. Crunchy. City Still Growing. Kick ass. All right. Another Fool. I mean, with a lethal, heavy riff in that song. All right. And a great Turner vocal on that. Lost in a Fantasy. Service with a Smile. Crankin' riffs. For the Weekend was kind of like their little hint at radio play on this album. Due to the somewhat success of this album, this helped the guys get a opening slot on the Van Halen tour about a year after this album was released. So good exposure for the band. But of course, that would be it basically. Sad enough for them. You would think that something like that would kind of propel them going forward, but did not work out that way. All right, next up, I'm going to go with this very, very strong album, which I think I've only liked more and more as time has gone on. I'm talking about Head On. All right, never a fan of the, come on, you guys couldn't come up with something a little better than that. Not that we don't mind looking at their faces, but, they had some kind of cool other album cover art, and, this one kind of a letdown. But a very strong album, I think. This is basically Randy Bachman on guitar, Mr. Turner on vocals and bass, Blair Thornton on guitar, and Robbie Bachman on drums, okay, with a couple of guests on piano and so on and so forth. But some really, really strong material on here. All right, Find Out About Love, kick-ass opening tune. I mean, it's just a great lick. All right, the guitar work of Randy Bachman, terrific. Okay, coupled up with Blair Thornton, the two of them pretty strong dual guitar tandem there, I think. Oh, underrated. It's Over, another great song. Got the kind of the playful average man. All right. Why won't you take me for a while? Another really good song, kind of emotional but still heavy. Wild Spirit, cranking, classic sounding BTO. Take It Like a Man. You got Looking Out for Number One, which is the kind of little jazzy pop ditty on this album. Very, very cool song. Away From Home, another killer tune. Down to the Line. A very strong album. Very strong album. All right, so next we got a couple 2-on-1 deals here. So here's how we're going to work this. So the next one, I'm going to go, so this will be number 4. I'm going to go with, let me open up so you can see the cover. I'm going to go with their debut. All right. So for me, this has some very, very strong material on it. It's not quite, dipping into the real heaviness that we would see on the next 3 albums, but I think it definitely starts that trend, right? So here we've got some classic traction. You got Give Me Your Money, Please. All right, Hold Back the Water, which is killer. You got Blue Collar. Okay, another, guys could do that little jazzy thing, which is pretty cool. Stayed Awake All Night. pretty cranking. Down and Out Man, Don't Get Yourself in Trouble. That's like the one big heavy stomper on the album. Thank You for the Feeling, Little Gandy Dancer. A lot of strong tracks on here. So that's going to be my number 4. Coming in at number 3, I'm going to go with the one that comes after it, right? Bachman Turner Overdrive 2. A very powerful album, and I think this was the album that really would propel the band, to pretty much superstardom all over the place. I mean, they were very big here in North America. You got Blown, you got the crankin' Welcome Home. I keep using that that term crankin', but for me, BTO and crankin' always go together. All right, sledgehammer riffing. All right, you got Stone Gates, another killer song. The incomparable Let It Ride. One of the great kind of FM hard rock tracks of all time. Totally dig that song. Give It Time, another good heavy anthem. All right, you got Tramp, I Don't Have to Hide, and of course Taking Care of Business, their big hit. All right, so a very, very strong album coming in at number 3 for me. Coming in at number 2. And again, any of these top 4 could change at any given time. There's not much that separates the top 4, in my opinion, which is their first 4 releases. So next up, I'm going to go with 4-Wheel Drive. All right, another very, very solid album that just showcases the kind of the heavy side of the band. All right. And here, of course, we got the 2 Bachmans, Mr. Thornton and Mr. Turner, all right? That's the classic lineup of the band, all right? You got the title track, 4-Wheel Drive, heavy. She's a Devil, another kind of tune that kind of slow builds, gets heavy. Hey You, another hit for the band, all right? Flat Broke Love, She's Keeping Time. Quick Change Artist, Lowland Fling. And how about Don't Let the Blues Get You Down, another Fred Turner song that just kills with some crushing riffs, all right? But when it comes down to it, the favorite song, of course, is going to be this monster. All right, how could it not? Not Fragile, right? A great album. Kind of always has been my favorite BTO album because if it's got the title track, all right, Rock Is My Life, This Is My Song, Freewheelin', Sledgehammer Baby, all right, Blue Moanin', Secondhand, Giving It All Away, Rollin' Down the Highway, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, all right, one of their biggest hits ever. Just a great sounding album. It's heavy, it's menacing, it's got, just beefy ass guitar playing on it. The dual vocal attack, just such a great band. This is like one of those kind of take your thinking caps off and just have fun with the heavy rocking, right? That's for me what these guys have always been about. And they do it so well. Tasty melodic guitar playing, heavy ass riffs, great vocals, catchy tunes, right? Stomping rhythms. Sometimes you're just in the mood for stuff like this, right? Bands like BTO and Grand Funk Railroad and Mountain, it's just just good, solid, heavy rock, okay? It's just sometimes you just need that stuff, right? So there you have my ranking the albums, least favorite to favorite, best to worst, or worst to best, all right? Curious to see what you guys think. All you BTO lovers out there, chime in. Let us know which albums you like the most and why. All right, let's go back and recap my list. So I'm going to go with 4-Wheel Drive, number 1. Number 2, I'm sorry, not Fragile, number 1. 4-Wheel Drive, number 2. All right, get screwed up with these damn 2-on-1 things. We're going to go with BTO 2, number 3. BTO first, number 4. Number 5, we're going to go with Head On. Number 6, Bachman Turner Overdrive, or BTO. Number 7, the Bachman Turner album. Number 8, Street Action. Number 9, Freeways. Number 10, coming in last, Rock and Roll Nights. There you have it. Bachman Turner Overdrive, or BTO. A very cool band. If you've never checked them out, you should absolutely do so. While you're doing that, visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on the mighty YouTube all the damn time. What do we got coming up, you might ask? Well, later today, we're going to do a ranking the studio albums of the Babies. Don't miss that this weekend. What do I got in my pile over here? How about ranking the studio albums of Nevermore for all you metalheads? That's coming up. What else? What else do I have over here? I know I got another pile of something. I should just make you guys... Hold on. Let's forget what I'm doing here. Let's see. How about some Between the Berry and Me? That's also coming up. Progressive metal, progressive extreme metal, progressive metal, whatever you call it. We're going to rank their albums as well. And I don't know, may squeeze some other stuff out this weekend. I know I got to do an AC/DC one. That's going to be a lengthy one, but I can do that. That may come this weekend too. We'll see. So anyway, lots of stuff happening. So you don't want to miss any of it. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click on the alerts so you get an email every time we post something new. You don't want to miss a single episode, but if you have, remember, check out the playlists, folks. We've got 5+ years of video archives in the playlist. I've got everything nicely organized for you, so it's easy to find just about anything you're looking for. We've covered a lot, and we're going to continue to do so. So we'll see you later on. All right, take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.